Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today for this special class. It's a little different from our typical mat class because we are working with Haley here. She is a realtor in the area and she is in her second trimester of pregnancy, so congratulations. We got to work together in her first trimester and our class today looks very different because there's certain contraindications. We don't want to have her lying on her back for extended periods of time. We're not going to have her lying on her stomach today. So in order to do that, we're going to use the wall as essentially like a vertical mat, and a lot of similar exercises that you see from Pilates reformer work with footwork and traditional mat work with abdominal work up against the wall. So we are going to get started right away. We do have a prop today, and this small ball, if you have anything even smaller or larger, it'll do just fine. You can do the same workout with it. Something that has a little give, that's a little squishier like this, is going to be ideal so that you don't have as much resistance pushing into you. Anything you have around the house, you can use as a prop. And also at one point, we will transition down onto a mat on the floor, so have that ready and maybe just a pillow nearby for when we get there. So we'll go ahead and start. You'll bring your ball behind your back on the wall, and you'll look at like right between your shoulder blades is where you want to have that ball resting. As you start to progress in your pregnancy, we get a lot more weight pulling us forward, which is going to create some tightness, some looseness in activity in the upper back. And so I have the ball placed there between your shoulder blades just so you can really feel like you're opening up. Gives you something to push into, which will feel really nice. For this first one, I'll have Haley just soften her knees. You'll do the same at home and bring your back nice and flat. So you think the shoulders are going to be right over the hips, and I want you to think of pulling your front ribs in just gently towards your back, almost like you're trying to hug your baby in. And we'll bring your hands on the front side of your abdomen, and we'll just start with a couple nice deep breaths here. So inhaling in through your nose, feeling your rib cage expand. As you exhale, think of hugging that baby in towards your center. And again, just kind of starting to connect in. Our abdominal work later on in the pregnancy looks so different because we're trying to avoid anything that's going to help pull that diastasis recti condition where you're pulling your abdominals apart. It's very common. We want to prevent it as much as we can, so that knitting in, that hugging, really important that we give some time for that in our sessions. We'll have her just take a couple more breaths here and drawing your baby in towards your center even more, and just one more. And as she exhales, she's going to try and hold that in even as she inhales, so she'll think a little more breathing laterally through your rib cage now. We'll take your arms down by your sides, and let's take the palms forward. So one of the things we know, we start to get tighter in our shoulders and our pecs, so we'll do some arm circles here. So she'll go palms up, rising towards the ceiling. At a certain point, her flexibility will determine those palms have to flip forward, and she'll slice out to the sides, and she'll go up again. And trying to not rise the shoulders up at the top, so we're no shrugging. As far as you can without the shrug before you flip the palms, and slice out. And again, as we go to the side, think like that true side space. There it is. Nice. And again. The whole while you feel that ball behind something to keep pushing your upper back into, helps kind of open up this front side beautifully. And we'll do one more that direction, and up. Inhale, open up, and now we'll reverse it. Keep your palms facing forward. We'll slice out again, flipping the palms and lower down. Again, you can feel your shoulder blades moving with your arms gently. Still trying to stabilize into the ball, still feeling the abdominals, drawing in that nice intra-abdominal pressure. And we'll go just two more this direction and flip the palms lower down. I love that Haley's keeping her shoulders right over her hips. She's not starting to arch her back or draw her pelvis forward. And then from here, let's have you interlace your hands behind your head. It can be a nice loose interlace if you feel like you're pushing your head forward. Think of the head pulling back into your hands. Let's just take a subtle side bend here. And you want to keep really opening up through those outer ribs, the obliques, and up. Obliques is just like the the six-pack layer of your abs, your rectus abdominis, where you don't want to do too much of that later in your pregnancy because it contributes, the obliques contribute to pulling the abs away. So stretching the obliques is a great thing to do. Not so much thinking about working them to take you down or working them to take you up. Just focus on the lengthening side. So less muscular effort is our goal whenever we do anything like this as we're in our second, third trimesters of pregnancy. Go ahead and just even out your sides. Beautiful, and come back to the center. I'm gonna hold her ball here for a second. You'll rotate to face one side. She'll still have her shoulder into that ball. Let's bring both arms forward now. And she can have her knees soft, and I might have you step in towards that ball. Yep, just so you don't feel like you have to lean. And we'll do another arm circle, this time still thinking of opening up a little more for the obliques. So she's gonna take that arm circle all the way back and then draw back forward again. So she'll go up, find that nice stretch across the front left side of her body, and again, opening up. And you can just find the natural breathing here. Maybe that inhale helping to expand feels really nice on the way up. That exhale as you come forward. Let's reverse directions. Take the arm back, inhale, and exhale, coming forward again, and opening up. We will be doing a little bit of arm work later in this session too, because we know we have to be ready to start carrying some weight in our arms in a couple of months. So we're gonna get the arms stretched, the joints nice and loose, and then we'll do a little more work later on. Let's go ahead and have you switch sides and bring your feet nice in there. Perfect. And she's still trying to find that nice long back, that heavy tailbone. You could draw a little that way. Perfect. And we'll go with the arm up first on that inhale, finding a stretch and bringing it back. And love that Haley, every time she comes out of that alignment and then when she returns her arm, boom, she's right back in it, which is what you want to be thinking of. Paying attention there's not too much arching in your lower back as well. And again, inhale. Exhale, you might feel there's a certain spot that feels a little sticky. Just kind of relax and take your time through so you don't miss out on an opportunity to stretch where you're the tightest. And let's reverse it. Take it back and around forward. Letting the torso just gently follow your arm too. So again, you get that nice little stretch. And again, inhale. Find that baby hug again right here. Yes. And again, inhaling back and forward. Last time. And around. Very nice. And you can go ahead and come back center. So the ball, again, will come behind you, maybe a little lower towards like the base of your shoulder blades so you have a little room. It's going to roll up on this next one. So this is to simulate footwork on like the Pilates reformer or the Wanda chair, other equipment apparatus. So typically we'd bring our feet really narrow in line with your sits bones. Haley, if you're comfortable there, you can stay there, but if you need to make a little more space for your pelvic floor and everything in your pregnancy, you can go a little wider is acceptable for our pregnant clients too. So arms nice and long by your sides. Your feet are a little further forward this time because you're gonna take a bigger range. So you'll find your back nice and flat, and then we'll bend your knees, sliding down, let that ball slide up and up. So I might have Haley come to the top. I'm gonna walk her feet even a little more forward so she can really lean into the ball for stability because she's nice and tall. We wanna give her a little more range, and just draw your hip bones back a little there. From here, inhale, bend your knees, and exhale right back up. So I'm looking like she's straight up and down like she was against the wall the whole time. I don't want her hips to push back as she lowers down, so I just have my hand here to help keep her straight. And forward, that looked good. I'm gonna step away, keep that same feeling. And good. So just building up some more heat in her larger muscle groups in her legs, your quads, your hamstrings, all the while still finding that stability in your trunk, which is a little more tricky when you're standing versus when you're on the reformer, where you're lying down, the reformer stabilizes your back for you. And good, let's do one more on her heels. Inhale, and keep the hips forward a little, there, and up. Now rise onto your toes. Same thing. I'm going to have you take your arms forward so you can just stabilize your shoulders back into that ball a little bit. And I want your hips to come a little bit there under you. And we'll bend again, coming down here. And right back up again. Keep closing the ribs. Keep thinking, hug that baby in. And up. I love that your back's coming straight down at the bottom. She's feeling her hair rubbing on the ball. If that's you, move it, get a bun. And pressing up at the top. Watch you don't lean too far back with the shoulders. Think chest forward, a little forward, that way. So push into my hand with your sternum. That way. Yes, a little more. There. And pressing up. That's it. And just one more on the toes. And then you'll bring your heels together, stay on the toes. Now we're in a small V position. So she lowers down. Her knees will just track over the center of her feet, like modest V position. And we go down again. Inhale and exhale. Keep drawing it. Nice. And you can go all the way to straight so we get a little inner thigh work. Squeezing there, her legs together at the top. Haven't even talked about it, but Haley's doing such a nice job at keeping her heels nice and still. So she goes down, they're not really moving where they are in space. So she's also getting some articulation around her ankle joint, which is just a bonus to the knees, the hips that are moving as well. So her whole lower extremities should be getting a nice workout here. Down 2, and up. Good, and a 1, and up. Lower your heels down. We'll walk the feet a little wider, still on that slight V position. And let's this time take the arms out to a T. And again, we'll take the same knee bend down. And up. She's starting to pitch a little bit back in the pelvis. So again, feel like you're sliding straight down. That's it. And up. Very nice. And pressing down. And up. Really nice. Anytime you get the pelvis moving lower towards the floor than the knees, or the pelvis lower than the knees, it's going to be really good for stretching your pelvic floor, which becomes really important probably third trimester as we're starting to think about the end. So giving good pelvic floor work on the way up, and then nice stretching on the way down. And good, pull the ribs into that ball as you go on this next one. That's it, good. Toes up, heels stay in that V. And we'll do the same one more time, keeping the arms in the T and pressing up. And again, ankles, heels not moving in space. Looking beautiful here. And inhale, exhale. If you go too low, it might not be as easy to get up because we also don't want to overstrain the inner thighs on the way up. So find that range that you can come up with comfort. We'll go 2. And draw those ribs in. Last one. Yes. And hands behind your head. Walk your feet back to that parallel position. They can come a little closer underneath you now. And we'll just do a heel rise. So the heels up and down. Think of your inner ankle bones just gently drawing together a little bit towards my hand. Yes. And just so that she's not rolling out to her pinky toes. Calves. Calves are really important. They get really tight, especially the more your baby grows, the more you're having to use your calves really eccentrically to keep you from falling forward. So we'll do a really good calf stretch right after this. I'm going to bring your chest a little forward. Sorry, my hand's cold. There we go. And down. And just a few more. Bring that foot a little more parallel. So when the heels or the ankle bones come together, I'm still making sure that the heels aren't moving in. It's just those ankle bones. That's it, nice. And let's do 2. And last one. And go ahead and step away from the ball. You'll flip around, face your wall. You can press your hands into the ball now. We'll just do a nice calf stretch. So we'll take one foot forward. The other foot, you want it to go as far back as you can while still getting your heel to the ground, but it should feel like a challenge to get there. So definite big calf stretch on the back leg. Gently think of squaring the hips. Good, and pull those ribs in. Pull the baby in, nice. And she's just going to take a few breaths here, 3 to 5 breaths, feeling that nice stretch through her back leg. Great to keep doing some calf stretches throughout the day if you feel like getting tight. Do some preventative work if you're still kind of earlier in your second trimester before it increases into your third. Let's go ahead after 3 to 5 breaths. We'll step that foot forward and step your other foot back and go into that same calf stretch. Just using your arms to do a little stability work with the ball. It's adding a little more challenge than if you were just pressing against the wall. There we go. And this leg, really get that calf to stretch out. 3 to 5 breaths. Haley's got this beautiful long line, long lives. I'm always jealous. After we've gotten through our footwork, which I'm not going to do single leg, and I did not do prances today. Sometimes with prances, because we have one at a time, if anybody's having issues with their SI joint area, which becomes really mobile with all the relaxin in your body, anything where we're doing single leg, weight bearing might put a little undue stress on it. So I went ahead and skipped it today. We'll go ahead and take that ball away. But while we're here, I want to do 2 more exercises. One for the abdominals, the 100, which is one we know on the mat. Not appropriate for where you're at, but we have a version to modify. So the ball now is going to come much lower onto your lumbar spine, your lower back. I think like right opposite of your abdominal wall. You want to be able to pull directly into it. Feet are just comfortably, again, forward, soft bend through the knees, and then the arms will press down by your sides. And Haley's going to think here, really opening through her collarbones, her shoulders, drawing in her abs towards the ball. And we'll take this inhale to prepare. Exhale, pump the arms. 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. And inhale. Very challenging with the ball not to bounce around. Haley's doing really good. Watch you don't go for a ride like you're on a roller coaster here. And breathe. And again. Think nice and straight with the elbows, moving from the shoulder. Focus is on the abs, the core work. Really nice stability work. Keep that inhale. We're going to inhale and exhale. And breathe out. Let's go in. And out. I'm totally not counting because I'm talking too much. So when you get to 100, you're done. We'll go on Haley's count wherever she feels like it. Good. Keep that ball as still as you can. And on your last one, wherever that is, you'll just find that last hump. Gently hinge yourself a little forward. If you need to adjust that ball a little lower towards your sacrum, you can. We'll still stay flat back. And now we'll go into swimming. So arms come all the way up by your ears. And I want to really work on shoulder flexors. So I'm thinking the biceps are just like opposite of your ears. And then we'll take right arm a little higher, left arm a little higher, swimming. Right arm and left arm. And I want this trunk to stay nice and still, so it's working from the shoulders. Back extension is great. I'm adding it earlier in the session just because we can't get enough at this point in pregnancy. We want to really get those upper back extensors working to counteract everything that's pulling us forward. And once you kind of get that pattern, you're looking really stable, you can take it a little faster and do that same breathing that we just did in the 100. So inhale and exhale. And inhale. She's still pulling that baby in. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. So you can get those arms a little higher overhead. Yes, inhale. And exhale. And 3 more in. Stretch those elbows. And in. And out. She's looking good. 1 more breath. Inhale. And exhale. And lift your body all the way back upright. Take a little stretch. Watch that wall behind you because it's going to come closer than you think. But you can give yourself a little bit of that arch through your back just to stretch out everything we just worked. Once you're done from there, you can come away from the ball. Take that ball away. this is where we'll transition into the mat. So just get your mat set up, have a pillow nearby, keep your ball, and we'll see you there. All right, so find yourself down onto your mat now. I'll have Haley lay down, or she'll send her feet in front of her first, actually, and I'll have you scooch a little towards the center here. And because we don't want to do anything lying on our back for more than 3 or 4 minutes at this point in our pregnancy, we're going to do this next exercise propped up onto her forearm. So it's different from our traditional mat work. You'll look for your elbows coming right underneath your shoulders and just keep it nice and lifted in her back and your head in line with the spine. So the gaze will probably be on a high diagonal to try and keep that alignment. You could bring your head back a little bit and chin down. There we go. And then from here, knees are bent. We'll take your ball underneath one foot, and we'll start with the foot bent on the ball, the foot flat and bent on the ball. And this is a modified single leg stretch from the mat work. So we're trying to draw down on the ball as you lengthen your leg away. You still feel the abs trying to draw the opposite direction of that long lever and pull back in. And we'll go again, inhaling out, exhaling, drawing back in. And we're looking for some stability here, that you don't want to be sinking. We want to feel nice co-contraction between your back and your abdominals on the front side. And again, out and pull back in. Inhale, stretching out. And exhale, pulling in. And it's really going to be kind of what you make it there with that hugging sensation. You also can feel gentle hamstring work as you press out. Just keep pressure down on the ball. And we'll do one more. And pull it back in. And let's switch sides. Bring that ball underneath her other leg. This other foot just flat and bent. And again, as your leg goes out, especially if you have long legs like Haley here, you want to control that lever. And inhaling back in. So if you're experiencing any of that separation or are wanting to really prevent it, we want to avoid doing long levers with both legs at the same time. So having both of her legs straight in a position like the 100 typically on the mat, something you want to start avoiding just for safety. So the single leg is great. We also are kind of moving it in so it's not staying for too long, which helps not put too much strain on our abdominals, again, because we don't want them working to, overworking, getting tight where they start to draw away from that midline, that linea alba. We'll do one last one. And coming in, and I'll have her take her foot off. This is where if you have that pillow, grab your pillow. I'll have you come up onto your hands here. And maybe while I get this pillow set up, you can just have your hands behind you and take your knees a little, or feet a little wider. The knees will fall side to side. So this will just be a hip stretch. So let's take both knees towards the right. And then they can come up and rotate towards the left. So Haley was telling me this morning, she's like, oh, my hips are starting to feel tight at this point and different, lack of stability because we start to have more of that relaxing in the body. Ligaments are more stretchy. They're preparing for just to be able to stretch more. So we want to have some mobility, but also nice, safe ranges of motion. I'm going to do one more to each side. And up, and last one. Letting the hip joint move, internal and external rotation. Okay, from here, you'll roll to face forward. You'll want your pillow underneath your waistline. So we're kind of propping you up underneath your waist, as well as either another pillow or you could use that ball if it's the right size underneath your head. Typically when we're in mat class, we do our side lying with the arm overhead. Because of that ball, we'll just have her arm straight forward from her shoulder. And I want you to stack your shoulders one on top of the other, your hips one on top of the other. And let's bend your bottom leg to 90 degrees. And I'll take her top leg right on top of that. So after you've set it, hips are staying stacked. This top hand can just press into the mat so you have something to kind of help stabilize with, which we have a really large pillow, so yours might be half pillow, half mat here. Well, without moving the hips here, really important, just isolating the glute for more stability in the hip joint will open the knee up like a clamshell and lower back down and lift open. I've just got my hand here. If you imagine there's a little wall behind you, you don't want to be pushing your hips or your back into that wall. You just want to open up the knee, so isolating from your outer glutes. And exhaling up, feel like you're pushing through gel. Inhale down, so the way up, more important. Nice. And again. Feel this front side just a little forward. There we go. And inhale. And exhaling up. Inhale. And just 2. And last one. And we'll keep the bottom leg bent today. Again, I just want to have more stability. So we'll straighten just the top leg. And we'll go to a side leg lift. So the hips are staying stacked again. I really want to make sure that you're not going to press and smash down into your pillow. So you almost feel that length on this top side, like you're gently trying to draw away from the pillow underneath. We'll take your leg up and inhale back down. And she got a really good range of motion, but it's probably telling me she lost a little bit of that hip staying forward, because really we want to think maybe 40 to 55 degrees. Exhaling up, that's perfect. Inhale down. Your foot can also relax here, so you could let it just dangle like kind of like a floppy fish, because it's going to work your glute a little bit, that weight internally rotating your leg, which gets the same muscle group as the lift itself is. So you get 2 functions, same muscle. And I'm watching again. I want to see less movement on the waist as she lifts her leg. That's better. And exhale. Can you bring your leg back toward me a little bit? Good. And lift again. It's almost that opposition leg, like you're standing on it, but the hip still forward. There. And inhale. Again, watch this. Make sure you don't have any like wrinkles in your shirt. It's telling you you're probably sinking that oblique. Wherever it starts, you want to make sure you stay the same. Good. On this next one, come up just to that hip height. We'll flex the foot. We'll take your leg forward. So kick forward, a little further, point back, a little further, and kick forward, a little further, point. And go for that stretch. You can go a little further back, I suspect. You need to adjust your hips again. There we go. And don't be afraid to use that hand too. As your leg comes to the back, you can really push with your top hand so that you're allowing your leg to move a little behind you. That feel okay? So you're getting more length in the hip flexor. And flex, go front, a little further, point the leg back, feel that stretch. A little further, good, and flex, go front for 2, point, go back for 2, keep stretching that knee, and one more time, front for 2, point, go back for 2, straighten the knee, she's got long legs, that's a lot of work, come back, side, set the leg down, and let's push yourself up onto your hands. I'm going to move the pillow to the other side, getting ready. You can stay there for just one stretch though. Let's lower to your forearm underneath you. Take that top arm overhead. And if you bend your knees, bring this shin parallel to that front edge of your mat. That went down. There we go. You'll be able to push up a little bit, draw that hip, and give yourself a really good stretch. If you want a little more height, bring this elbow under your shoulder. There you go. Now feel even more of that stretch on top. And just another nice breath in there. From there, you're welcome to swivel your legs around to the second side. I'm going to move this pillow for Haley. There we go. She's got either 2 pillows, she's got that ball again, if it's the right size. Let's start with this front, the bottom leg, 90 degrees in the hip joint, and then we'll take your top leg to match. And stacking the hips, that looks really good on this side. And then just stack your shoulders again. So you can push that front arm down, use it for some more stability. And we're trying to lock down all of this. There's no movement here. It's just from that glute. So we'll lift the knee up for like a clamshell. And lower it down. and lifting up and down and lift. You might notice this side feels a little more engaged already because it was stabilizing underneath that whole first side. So now that it's turned to move, it's probably already a little bit warmer. I feel like this is your strong side. Yeah. She's got less movement going on everywhere else, which is just telling me that her hips a little more, she might have, this might be her strong side. And I love that she's keeping that line. There's not a lot of movement here. Really important if you feel yourself rocking forward or back, slow down. It's better to do it right, quality over quantity. And you can always coordinate that breath, the exhaling up, inhaling down, and again, exhaling up, inhaling down, and 2, and 1. Haley's looking awesome. Lower down. Keep the bottom leg where it is. Take your top leg, stretch it out long, and I'm going to bring it right as if you're standing on it. Keep the hip rocking forward. Keep that nice length on this top side. And we'll just do a side leg lift. So the leg comes up and tap down. Her range on this side, you could tell, was really good. Let your foot relax. There it is. And when our leg moves in this direction, it doesn't have as much range as it does if it's combining with a little rotation in the hip too. So if you're getting too high, watch yourself. Notice if you're externally rotating or bringing more like your heel forward, your toes backward. Bring your leg a little more underneath you again. Good. Keep going. And keeping, again, this part really still. So we're not doing side leg lifts. Sorry, we're not doing side lifts coming from the obliques. Again, we're just trying to release the obliques. Any kind of 2-leg lateral movement that we typically do when we're on our side in the mat is going to be not the most appropriate for our pregnant clients or you at home. Let's go ahead and come up to hip height now. Lift the leg up and we'll flex. We can take it forward a little further. Point your leg, reach back a little. That's it. Nice. Further and flex front. A little further. Point and back. She feels her abs trying to counteract the leg of her leg. And to the front. Go kick. A little further. Point. Reach back. Feel that nice stretch in the front. And front. 2 breaths. And inhale back. Again, one more to the front. Stretch that knee. And to the back. Stretch that knee. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Bring your leg back to the side. Lower down. Press yourself up. I'm going to move this pillow out of the way. And you can, again, come into that side stretch on this side. Good. So she get this nice length from her fingertips. You might get a little lat stretch, obliques, maybe the front of that or the side of that hip too. If you want a little more height, you can bring that elbow more under your shoulder. There you go. Something to lift away from. Okay, let's have you come onto all fours. So quadruped position, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Great position for working that oblique sling that helps stabilize through your core without emphasizing the oblique muscles doing the work. So it's all about stability here. So her back's starting nice and flat. I'm going to move the ball out to the side. You'll straighten out one leg behind you. Keep the toes on the mat, knee extended, and then extend that opposite arm overhead. And we'll lift the arm and the leg together and then tap down. And what we're looking for is like she's feeling that hug again. Pretend that wall that we started class with. She's pulling her baby up towards the wall. Nice. And tap, thinking minimal side to side. Lift a little bit this right hip. Good. And up. And just a one more. Good. Set it down. Pull your limbs back under you. Switch sides. And we'll lift that hip again a little bit. That's it. Maybe a little less right there. And up. Inhale. Not worried about how high her leg is going or her arm. I just want to make sure nothing else in this torso moves. Up. Drop into my hand a little, push your baby up towards my hand. Yes, that's it. Now keep that. Awesome. And chin down a hair. That's it. And we'll do one more. And set your knee down, pull it in. And then let's just stabilize this lower part. We'll do a little upper back extension. So inhale, let your chest pull forward through your arms. She's gonna not do quite as much extension in your neck so that, again, the rest of your back can keep that same curve. And then return back to neutral again. Chin can go down. Inhale, extend through the neck, the upper back, beautiful. And back down. We did a little bit of that swimming at the beginning up against the wall. This is going to be, again, so important for getting this upper back to engage, especially as you get more pulling you forward. Those muscles get longer, they get looser, decondition. The more preventative work you can do here, the better. Let's have you sit on your heels. I'm going to take that ball again right in front of you, pressing your hands onto it now. She open her knees a little wider, make some room for your stomach between your legs. Press into that ball and give yourself that upper back extension again. So she's going to really try and draw her upper back behind, her chest pushing forward. And then return back to neutral. We'll do that just 2 more times. Inhale, stretching the front side, contracting through her back. Your line looks gorgeous here. And we'll do one last one. Inhale. And exhale, neutral. Okay. To wrap up today, I wanted to just add a little bit of that arm work we talked about in. I'll have Haley sit. You're welcome to do this just sitting on your mat with your feet out in front of you and your knees bent. But if you have a lower chair, you can do this on the chair too. For Haley, I just propped her feet up a little higher because what I'm looking for is that your knees end up a little higher than your hips. So if she's especially maybe rises onto her toes, she gets that knee higher than the hip, which is going to help, again, just stretch through her pelvic floor. This is a series we actually do with a magic circle. And so we just are going to use the ball today because it's the prop that we've had all class. If you have a magic circle, you're welcome to do with that. We'll start with the ball right in between your hands in front of your chest, elbows nice and wide here. And we're just squeezing that ball in. As you release the squeeze, keep some tension so you're never fully letting go. And exhale again. You can feel this in your chest, your pecs, because the elbows are bent, a little bit of assistance from your biceps. And inhale. And I think as I squeeze in on the ball, you would think of your abdominals kind of knitting together at the same time. And exhale again, squeezing. And the whole while, I love how Haley's keeping her back very straight. Don't forget about it. Let's keep a little tension. Straighten out your arms in front of you now. Focus on straight elbows. If you bend them, you're not going to feel much on this one. Squeeze that ball with nice straight arms now. So we're really taking out a lot of help from the bicep here. Your range might be even smaller than the last one, which is normal. Bring the shoulders a little forward. There we go. And exhaling as you squeeze. And good. Keep stretching. Good. Got really long arms, same as long legs. If you have long arms, just longer lever. Your body's gonna want to find a way to make it easier. So keep stretching, keep the shoulders over. This next one, keep a little tension. Arms go overhead. Watch you don't flare your ribs forward. So it might not get perfectly to the ceiling. More important, you keep your back. And then same, squeeze from there. Stretch those elbows straight. Yes. And so we're looking for your maximum height without shrugging or without bending your arms, and as high as you can get. Obviously, our goal is to get our shoulders over time more to the ceiling. If you have a smaller ball, you might be feeling it's hard to even hold the ball. That's fine too. Just the intention, the act of drawing in is what's most important with this exercise. From here, let's take the ball on one shoulder. If you had a magic circle, we would be pressing down nice and vertically on it, but because this ball needs a bigger resting place and we don't want your head out of alignment, it'll be slightly from an angle, but this is bicep work. So think bicep pressing in on the ball and gently releasing. You can let your elbow come just slightly forward. Yep. So we're also in a little external rotation in your shoulder. The biceps are going to be really worked once baby comes. You're going to be holding. We want them nice and strong. This is just a little stability work from the ball. Okay, so from here, let's switch sides now. So bring the ball onto her left shoulder. Same idea, nice and vertical. The ball's going to have to be a little wider than we would normally press straight down, just so you can keep your head in alignment. But we'll focus on that elbow joint. That's where you want to be bending from. So like you're compressing, good, and releasing. I'll have you bring your ribs back a little, perfect. Exhaling in. When we release, still keep some tension. So you can really regulate how much effort you're putting in by how much you release, how deep you want to get into that contraction. Think of preparing your arms for that nice heavy load. And exhaling again. And again, I love that Haley's keeping her still, her knees a little higher than her hips. It's such a nice stretch for the pelvic floor. And 2 more. And last one. To finish off today, this will be challenging. If you have a smaller ball, good luck. You might need to take the ball away. I'll have Haley just stand up so you can see her profile, what we're going to do. You'll bring that ball behind you, and it's going to go between your hands. You'll lift your arms as high as you can. So there's a big stretch in the front of your deltoids, the front of your pecs. And then it's the same idea we've been working on, squeezing in on that ball and gently releasing. And I would love for Haley to find even straighter through her elbows. Yes, and keep that as you squeeze and release. This one might take a lot of practice too. A lot of us, if you are tighter, you've been feeling that pulling forward, opening up our chest is so critical. Keep extending through your arms, good. And breathe into those. Yes, I felt that arch came away from her back now. She's got that baby hug going. Inhale. And just give it 3 more. Really max out that squeeze. Elbows staying straight. Good. And 2. It might not even be moving if you're falling. 1. But you, again, it's undeniable you feel it, regardless how big it is. After that last squeeze, I'll go ahead and take your ball. Haley, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for joining us at home. We hope this was a great, feel-good exercise routine today, and we'll see you next time.